And while you're waiting for the pumpkin mixture to cool, whip up the heavy cream. That was so bake-off cadence. Hi, I'm Carolina Gelen. I'm here at the NYT Cooking Studio Kitchen, and today we'll be making 3 Thanksgiving tiramisus. A Thanksgiving tiramisu is not your Nona's tiramisu. I want to put that out there. We're inspired by the structure and components of a classic tiramisu, but we're incorporating Thanksgiving flavors. The first one's going to be cranberry. A cranberry tiramisu. It's a little tart, it's a little sweet. The cranberries bring such a beautiful brightness to the whole dish, and I think it pairs really, really well with the mascarpone filling. Next up, we have a caramel apple tiramisu. We're cooking the apples in a homemade caramel sauce until they're soft and tender, and we're gonna sandwich that filling between the ladyfingers and the mascarpone filling. And then our third one is a pumpkin date tiramisu. We're gonna make a pumpkin and date butter that we're gonna use to flavor our filling, and it's a really, really fluffy, tender, and really great one. They each have like a little something different, and I'm really excited to walk you through the recipes. So our first step in our cranberry tiramisu is making the cranberry sauce. To do this, we're going to add the cranberries, frozen or fresh, to a saucepan. A little bit of sugar. I always like to add lemon juice to cranberries. Even though they're tart on their own, I feel like the lemon juice brings a lovely citrusiness and brightness that cranberries don't have alone. And we're just gonna let them do their thing with a little bit of water. So we're looking to bring this to a boil, and once it reaches a boil, we're gonna simmer the cranberries until they get nice and jammy. The sauce consistency is gonna feel thin in the beginning, but it will thicken as it cools. So as you can see, our cranberries are visibly starting to break down, and what I like to do is crush some of them with the back of my spatula against the sides of the pan. Yeah, this is looking beautiful. Let me show you how it leaves a trail, the back of a spoon. That's so perfectly tart, I love it. You could totally blend this to give it a smoother consistency. You'll almost have like a loose curd consistency. I really like a little bit of crushed cranberries in there. I don't mind the texture, and I really like the seeds. You could also strain those out if you really feel like it. But one last thing to add in here is some vanilla extract. We're just adding that off the heat so it doesn't just like simmer away. And all there's left to do is allow this to cool. We're gonna be using a little bit of the cranberry sauce to make our ladyfinger soak. Remember, in a traditional tiramisu, the ladyfingers are soaked in espresso, but in this one, we're gonna be making a cranberry soak with sweetened cranberry juice. And to give a little bit more body and dimension to the cranberry juice, we're gonna be adding half a cup of our cranberry sauce in here. I think temperature is a crucial thing to keep in mind when making tiramisu, because we're working with mascarpone and heavy cream, which are both like a little fragile. You want everything to be cold once they meet each other. And now we're going to be moving on to the mascarpone filling. The result is gonna be fluffy and tender and creamy and really, really delicious. First, we want to cook the eggs just to kill off any potential bacteria. So add the sugar to a bowl, and then the egg yolks. And we're just gonna mix this right now. So once they're combined, we're gonna place them over a pot of boiling water. And we're looking for the mixture to reach 160 degrees. And just make sure this is moving at all times. So one thing you have to be really careful is to make sure the bottom of this bowl does not touch the water, because that will cook the eggs instantly and just scramble them, which we don't want. And a good indicator is you'll notice the sugar granules will fully melt into the egg yolks, and that's usually a nice visual cue that you're almost there. All right, so we have a beautiful fluffy texture. Our mixture is looking really, really pale. We're gonna pull this off a heat and just let it come to room temperature. In some tiramisu versions, you will have egg whites instead of cream, but I am a huge proponent for cream. I think it's much more stable. I think it adds a better flavor. It just has more body to it. We're gonna pour this into a large bowl and just start whipping. We're just gonna whip to stiff peaks. So there's a fine line between soft peaks and stiff peaks, and you want to be hyper aware of your mixer and its power, and keep an eye on the cream as you're mixing it, because you don't want this cream to curdle. We have some beautiful stiff peaks, and now we're gonna move on to incorporating the mascarpone cheese in the egg mixture. And once a dollop has been incorporated, I'm going to add another one. Beautiful. We have all of our elements here. They're ready to go, and now it's time to assemble our cranberry tiramisu. So we're gonna dunk each ladyfinger in the soak, place it in the pan, add the sauce on top, and then in with our mascarpone filling. So let's begin. So the ladyfingers will disintegrate if they soak up too much liquid, so you wanna be really careful with that. You still want a little bit of structure in the tiramisu, so just follow my lead. In, and that's about it. And I like to pick up some of our residual cranberries from the soak. They're gonna make a nice red layer between that and the mascarpone. So we're gonna do half of our cranberry sauce, and I just want you to see just how much it has thickened since we last saw it. It has a really nice jammy consistency. Scoop half of it on top of the ladyfingers. Just spread this using an offset spatula. How beautiful does that look? I mean, just look at that color. So we're gonna do half of our filling. Spread this in an even layer, making sure it reaches the sides. Beautiful. And now we're gonna repeat the very same steps with our remaining ingredients. Now this is the most difficult part of the whole recipe, which is waiting for this to chill in the fridge. It needs to chill for about 4 to 6 hours, preferably overnight, because you want the ladyfingers to soften up, to soak up the moisture in the tiramisu and get a really nice fluffy bite. We're gonna be making our pumpkin and date tiramisu. We're gonna be flavoring this with a beautiful pumpkin date butter, and also soak the ladyfingers in a delicious date chai. We have 3 cups of boiling water here. Turn the heat off and simply add the dates. Our beautiful chai bags over here. Usually packaging will indicate that it needs to steep for 3 to 4 minutes. We're gonna go 12 minutes because I want a really nice concentrated mixture for the tiramisu. It should be enough time to also hydrate the dates and get them nice and soft. So we're just going to pour this through a mist sieve and reserve the dates. And really push them through the sieve to remove any excess liquid. Add the sugar in, give it a little stir, and now we're gonna place this in the fridge until nice and cold. The smell, incredible. Next up, we're gonna take our dates and place them on a cutting board, and we want to chop these into a coarse paste. It's pretty easy to do by hand, especially once they've been soaking for a while. They're really soft and tender and easy to cut. We have our beautiful date paste over here, and we're gonna mix it with the pumpkin to make our pumpkin and date butter. When I say butter, I mean the pumpkin and date equivalent to apple butter. We're just looking to cook the pumpkin puree and dates into a really, really thick paste until we've almost evaporated all the liquid that's in them. Add the canned pumpkin puree to a pan. Swoosh that around until the mixture looks very silky and smooth. I like doing it on medium-high. It speeds up the process, but you do have to be next to the pot and constantly stir. There's an orange film at the bottom of the pan, which is a great indicator that we're pretty much there. Next up, we'll be adding the dates right in there with the pumpkin and cook for an additional 2 minutes just to remove any excess liquid that might be in the mixture. It smells like caramel and pumpkin, and let me just tell you, it's really nice. Add this to a bowl. Beautiful. I like to spread the mixture all over the sides to help it cool a little bit faster. So to this, we're gonna add the salt, pumpkin spice, and we have vanilla extract and sugar. I know this might look really, really thick, but we're gonna use this to flavor our whipped cream. And by the way, this is our only tiramisu that is not using eggs in the mixture. We wanted to put an option out there for that. But if you really feel like sticking to the OG a little bit more and adding some eggs in here, you have the technique, you know what to do. So in our pumpkin and date mixture, we're gonna add dollops of the mascarpone cream. It's usually easier to incorporate in a few batches. You wanna keep it on low because you don't want anything to over whip, so be mindful of that. So give the sides a nice scrape. The mixture is really, really thick and it would be really difficult to incorporate this into whipped cream. So what I like to do is go in with some liquid heavy cream just to loosen up the mixture. We're actually not looking to whip this cream. Perfect. And just like that, we have a nice consistency that's much easier to fold now. And now we're gonna fold our pumpkin mixture into the cream. The smell is really, really terrific. Give it a rough mix, kind of like so, and then start folding. Our delicious pumpkin and date filling is ready, and now it's time to put everything together. So for our third and final tiramisu, we have a caramel apple tiramisu, which is really delicious. It's really lovely. We have ladyfingers soaked in apple cider with a little bit of caramel. Then we have a layer of apples that are cooked in a caramel sauce, and of course, our delicious and fluffy mascarpone filling. So first things first, we're gonna make the caramel by adding sugar to a pan. We are on medium-high heat. You really wanna watch the caramel and adjust the heat as needed. And while this is melting and getting nice and golden brown, I'm going to heat up the heavy cream in the microwave or a different saucepan. We want the sugar and the cream to be a closer temperature so the caramel does not seize. There we go. You want to watch this. You don't want it to boil over, but I'm looking for about 30 minutes to, not 30 minutes, do not put it in for 30 minutes, 30 seconds to a minute. It really depends on your microwave. Caramel is looking good. What I want to do here is keep the sugar in an even layer, and if any spots get darker faster, I usually move the pan and allow the other ones to get nice and hot too. And eventually we'll start stirring, but I'm just allowing it to let it do its thing. Now we can start stirring a little bit. This is very, very hot. This is also very, very hot, and this is a liquid. And when the cream hits the caramel, things will just do their thing. So be careful. Take a step back and just pour the cream. And then in with the butter. And just stir and allow this to melt. Perfect. Our caramel is ready. It's looking really beautiful and glossy. We have Granny Smith apples. I did test this with Honey Crisp as well, which was really lovely, but I think Granny Smith has that tartness that really balances out the caramel. So we're looking to cook the apples until they're nice and softened. That could be about 10 minutes, I would say, depending on your stove. Beautiful. Our apples are nice and soft. They're almost translucent, and you can visibly see just how much they have reduced in volume. Strain them and reserve the caramel sauce for later. Set the apples aside, and then scoop about a 1/4 cup of the caramel and just pour this into a bowl over here, and then in with our fresh apple cider. And that is our caramel apple soak. We're gonna let everything chill for a little bit, and while that's happening, we're gonna make our filling. So we're looking frothy, we're looking pale. It has a beautiful texture. As you can see, there's no sugar granules that are visible. So while this is getting nice and room temp, we're gonna be whipping some cream and then incorporating the mascarpone cheese in the cooled mixture. And now it's time to incorporate the egg yolk mixture into the whipped cream. Just add dollops of it to the side. Lovely. All right, it's time to assemble everything. Here's what we're working with. We have the ladyfingers. We have the caramel apple cider soak. Top this off with half of the mascarpone filling. And then our beautiful Granny Smith caramel apples. Lovely. So once the apples are in a nice even layer, we're gonna go in with the remaining mascarpone. And with this one, you wanna dollop it here and there. You don't want it all in one spot because I don't want to move the apples too much. Lovely. Look at what we have in front of us. After all this labor, we finally get to reap the reward. We have 3 tiramisus, the cranberry one, the pumpkin one, the apple one. It's time to top these off. I always like to add a little bit of hint as to what's inside in the toppings. For the cranberry one, we're gonna have a nice pink exterior with some dusted freeze-dried strawberries on top. For the pumpkin one, we're gonna have some nice pumpkin spice. And then for the caramel apple, we're gonna have the leftover caramel syrup as well as some pecans just for a nice little crunch. This right here is a dessert plate. Look at those, we got a slice of each. I'm gonna go first with, let's do the cranberry one, shall we? Oh yeah, it's tart from the cranberries, sweet from the mousse. Ladyfingers are like perfectly sweet and soaked in the cranberry sauce. Ridiculous. Okay, next up, the pumpkin and date. The chai is like perfectly concentrated and it just hits you at that first bite. The pumpkin comes through beautifully, but it's also not overpowering. Really great one. And last, but certainly not least, the caramel apple tiramisu. Oh yeah, Granny Smith is the apple for this. It's nice and tart. It balances the caramel so well. And I love just how soft and tender, how they're tucked into the mascarpone mousse. You can get all these recipes on the NYT Cooking website or on the NYT Cooking app. I'm sure you're gonna love them. I'm sure your guests are gonna love them, and I'm wishing you a really happy Thanksgiving.